That Adriana is here today, huh? Woo! Heck to the yizzle.
All right, we're a minute late, guys.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, we had technical difficulties, Tim.
Calm down.
You just walked up
be a
here because you were
landmarkian.
fixing the technical difficulties.
We're out of integrity.
So let's be in real integrity and tell it like it really is. Technical difficulties.
Why
folks.
they don't want me sitting close to you, or what?
Did you move sit with his legs wide open or something? I'm not
Close
sure.
the legs.
All right, folks, here we are. It is Tuesday. We'll call it 12:14 today because we are a couple minutes late. Technical difficulties.
Kevin's fault.
I'd like to blame Kevin, but I think it was Christian.
I just keep it, be consistent, it's Kevin.
It's always Kevin.
It's always just Kevin.
I think it was because Christian actually combed his hair today.
Yeah, that was weird, right? Seems like he has a little helmet on or something.
Yeah. Anyhow, welcome everyone. Our cohort, Johnny. Johnny is still in England.
Still in England.
I believe it's about 8 p.m. over there, so he might be tuning in. I don't know. He might be out at a pub or something too.
I understand he's snowed in.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they might not even fly out on time.
Well, he's so used to California weather, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, confusion has set in. So, anyhow, if you're watching live, welcome. If you're watching recorded, welcome anyways. So today, what are we talking about, Frankie?
Well, last week we had left off with some different real estate transactions that we're in the midst of, some getting ready to go on the market, some in the demo phase. I know you have one right here in Riverside. And I guess aside all of those transactions, for most of our students and the people watching, it's like, how do we get those transactions? How do we get them on a contract? How do we negotiate with them? How do we not lose a deal? How do we not say the wrong thing? And
It's a lot of hows.
yeah, what I know is once you establish the connection with your seller, all that stuff you don't have to worry about. So when you're trying to walk a tightrope with your seller and say all the right things and avoid all the wrong things before you've established rapport, you know, you're walking through a landmine field as far as you know. So until you get their trust, build rapport, the transaction you can lose it almost on any mistake or just misstep. So what I found is once you establish that connection with them and they like you, the rapport is there, the trust there, then we don't have to worry about these little missteps. You know, as long as you don't make a catastrophic error. But you know, we don't do that because we're trained, right?
Trained professionals.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So that's a good point, right? Because this weekend we had a few things going on around here. And there were some challenges that people really kind of brought up, right? One was, if I remember correctly, she was talking about competition-wise, right? The market is saturated with people that are investors, bird dogs, wholesalers, what have you. How do we cope or deal with that competition, and what do we do? The other was somebody who was an agent, a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. You like that? That's good.
Perfect.
And some of the challenges that they face when they're looking to transition from being a real estate agent to an investor, right? And then you have the other dynamic, which is the individuals that have been through a lot of training, have done a lot of things, but still aren't seeing success in this business. And I think the reality is what you shared, Frank, is a lot of what goes on, right? Is that people are it's real easy to become textbook smart, if you will, to learn the information. But the bigger challenge is how do you apply that you've learned and use it successfully, right? So I wish John were here, because then we talk about Black Pearl, because there was several phases to that.
Right.
Of the building that relationship, so that might not be a good example for today.
Black Pearl.
Yep. Do you have one that might be a better example of how it took place, what happened, what transpired, and then how we got to where we are today?
Yeah, I am working on one that we just started to touch on last week. It's in Garden Grove. Mm-hmm. I'm working on that with. We talked about it last week. And Scotty and Flora, I think it was Scotty who said, "You didn't mention me." I'm like, I don't know, we're just wrapping up. Sorry, Scotty. So there you go, Scotty. I just mentioned you.
That'll be $5,000.
So that was a seller. Like I mentioned before, we connected with him. Flora and Scotty connected with him, then they introduced me to him. At that point, there was no transaction or no purchase price, nothing. Definitely nothing set in stone, far from it. So I sat down with him, and I immediately just started talking with him. We didn't talk any numbers. We talked about, how I got into real estate. I asked him, found out what he does for a living. His wife was there, got to know her, and that was at least 30 to 45 minutes of just getting to know each other. And through that conversation, we discovered that we were both were in the printing industry. He was on the graphic side and getting the images ready for press, and I was doing the printing. So we started talking about that. We started talking about all these printing terms like dot gain and halftone dots and just all this other stuff that I hadn't talked about before. I hadn't been in my mind for a long time. So that was cool. Little walk down memory lane. Yeah. And so from that point, once we connected and I gave him my background about how I got into real estate, what I've done in real estate, and found out his motivation to sell, what he wants to do, and understand his position, we talked about that, and I really like what he wants to do with after selling his house, where he wants to go live, all of those things. So I just promised him I was going to help to make that happen. I was do everything that I could to make sure he achieved those goals with him and his wife. So we put together a contract that reflects what he needs to be able to achieve that. And myself, Scotty, and Flora will get what we want. We want to make money off this deal. We're not going to just fund his life. We're gonna do pretty good on the deal, and he's gonna do pretty good. And the biggest thing was the fact that it's a 2-bed, 1-bath, and there's so much potential there because of what's being sold in the area. Like there's properties that are going towards, over $700,000, and he only has a $100,000 mortgage. So what we decided to do was, in order for us to bring the most value, if we add some square footage, add a bedroom and a bath, so it's 3.2, that was going to jump the sales price on that property a lot. So he wouldn't have been able to do that. And selling it as is, there's, I don't want to go into all the issues, but everything's got to be done inside, everything. And once all that's done, just adding that bedroom and bathroom is not going to be nothing compared to all the work that needs to be done on the roof, the plumbing, all of that stuff. So we're going to spend about $120,000 to $130,000 in adding the bedroom and the bath and the repairs. And it has a pool, and went back to the pool. Pool's beautiful. It's the best feature of the house. They were back by the pool. The pump was running. It was crystal clear. It was wonderful. So, the last property I just did, we spent about $24,000 on refinishing the pool. So we're gonna save there, so we won't have to do that. But we did the negotiation was hinged on that initial conversation. Nothing could have took place until he got to know me. I couldn't have gone in there, sat down. I could have gave him the exact same scenario, and he would have been waiting to hear from another seller. You're talking about the competition.
Yeah.
Right.
I eliminated the competition by connecting and building a real rapport with this guy. We really have commonalities. We talked about those things, and I came away from that conversation really wanting to get behind him and help him to achieve what he'd like to do. So, and he got that, because you can't fake that. Mm-hmm. So when I gave him the options, I showed him why just a cash purchase and just fixing the existing wouldn't be his best bet, but how we can create a much more higher ARV by adding the bedroom and bath and doing all that stuff. And it's at least, it's about $150,000 increase by adding that bedroom and bath in that area. So that's what we're going to do. But yeah, it didn't seem like a negotiation. Once the rapport was built, it was easy from that point.
Sure. And obviously, you're not going to spend 50 grand on adding that bedroom and bath. It's going to be quite a bit less than that, right? So you're looking at probably about $120,000 return on your investment for the addition.
Well, that's interesting. The return on, that would be the flat, but the net, I'm gonna be participating in an equity share with him. So I'm not gonna in a case like this, if I were to buy it in the condition of the house, the way it sits, he would probably net about 280,000. So by me going through all these hoops, I'm increasing my profit and his. So he's gonna make somewhere between 330 and 350, right? So that's gonna be better for him.
Sure.
And for myself, if we start to go over a certain amount, we're gonna participate in an additional equity share. So I feel really good about it. I feel like it's a complete win-win. I definitely did not take advantage of the fact that he has a sale date coming up. We just looked at the numbers at what they were, and he already knows he's got to sell before that sale date. He doesn't have the funds to repair the property, and he just needs to get it sold before it goes to auction. So, yeah, it's good.
Very cool. So the key things there is, at least what I heard anyways, was building an actual relationship, the rapport that you refer to, right?
Yeah.
By finding common ground and being able to connect at a different level versus just making it about the numbers and just making it about the house.
Yep.
Right.
Because you can't differentiate yourself from any other guy just making an offer.
Yeah.
So.
And then the other thing that kind of stood out for me was the numbers, right? Knowing what you're stepping into so that you can actually have a conversation when you get to the numbers that makes sense, right? Because it's very critical to know ARV, right?
Right.
So, because we get so many things sent out to us that we're not sure how they're determining their after repair value, right? So that's a key component as well to be able to have a successful transaction. Because then you know, okay, if I do ABC, I can sell it for, like you said, I think you said 700 or so, right? And that's no additions, no extra bath, none of that stuff.
No, the house. What do you mean?
So what's
we're
your
adding bedroom bath? The ARV is based off of us adding that bedroom.
Okay, so making
bath.
it a 3.2.
Yeah.
And you're at that 700 range. If you didn't add that, you would then be at about
Like
550, 600?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a huge difference. Yeah, it's a big difference.
Big difference in that area.
Right.
Very cool. Okay. So I like the way what you said about the competition as well, right? And you refer to it as differentiating yourself, right? How do you stand out in the crowd? And I can't tell you how many times we've gone into situations where we have to clean up the rapport, right? And it usually comes from what we've talked about in the past of people not knowing when they're saying too much or not enough, right? There's a balance there, and not bringing us in at the right time, right? That's I think probably the biggest mistake people make out there is not knowing when to bring in that resource that's going to take it the rest of the way, do the heavy lifting and get it done. So that covers a few things. So we talked about an individual that was asking about how do we deal with the competition, right? Stand out in the crowd. Make sure that you're offering a solution that others may be offering, right? But without the rapport that you built, without that relationship, you're just another guy with some numbers, or gal, right? With numbers. So, okay. And then, so you said that you stepped in and you spent 30, 45 minutes just getting to know them and building the relationship.
Yeah.
Are you ever concerned that the folks that referred this, right? In this case, it was Flora and Scotty. Are you ever concerned that when you walk into those scenarios, trying to figure out what have they said that I need to clean up?
I ask them. I try to get as much information about what was said beforehand to see if there's anything that I need to clean up, but there wasn't in this case. Sometimes there definitely is, around like moving money, the timing of that moving money.
So promises?
Yeah, different promises. Sometimes that can take place. So I guess it comes down to our training and making sure that they're not getting into numbers or making types of promises unless they're ready to pay for that. Unless they're going to write a check for whatever the promises they're making.
And I know I've been with you when you're where you're looking at your phone, right? And you're like, what the, are they asking me? And then you'll ask me something like, should I send this? And it's usually that. If you're willing to stroke the check,
Right.
Go.
cool. Go ahead, make the offer, right? But if you're not, then let's go my route, which is it's always interesting to see that pan out. And here's the thing is, a lot of times people will do that or make those promises because they've heard us say something, but they don't understand what took place before we say what we say, right? Before we extend that offer, if you will. And what's missing usually is the details, right? They just hear, well, Tim said he could do this, so I'll offer that the next time I come across a situation, right? And then it's not a good idea. So, okay, now how do we, now Flora's an agent.
Yes.
Right? So he looks over like, all right. So, which is cool, right? So one of the things is, I think that's different though, is that Flora was educated here. She was trained here. So how she approaches conversations is probably quite a bit different than your average real estate agent would, right? Because agents are all about getting a listing versus, I know Flora is really good about stepping into a situation and wanting to serve that homeowner, and it doesn't matter what that solution is going to be. So one of the things that I've talked to agents about is a lot of times they focus on things that maybe don't necessarily make sense to be focusing on, right? So for example, if there's 3 different marketing arms that you're used to using as a real estate agent or a realtor, right? And you have like really good success with one of them, and you don't focus much on that because it's like working really well, and you pour into these other 2 solutions that are generating nothing, right?
Yeah.
They make 0 sense to me, but I see this quite a bit where folks do that because they're trying to build another avenue, right? But so if we were to do it on on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're pouring in a 2 and you're having success, and then you pour in a 10 and a 10 on the other ones that are having no success, wouldn't it be smarter to shift some of that energy and focus to the one?
20/80.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're operating the 80/20 rule, but backwards. So instead of doing 80% of your activity on the 20% of things that actually are making you money, they're doing 20% of their activity on what's making 80% of their money, and spending 80% of their time on the stuff that's giving them nothing or maybe 20% of their return. If you flip that over and spend all your time on, the small amount of things that actually produce for you, you'll grow exponentially.
And here's the thing is that we're talking about, and I don't want to pick on realtors, right? Because that happens to everybody.
Right.
Even our folks that come through here and are educated, they still look at focusing on the wrong things.
Right.
I guess is a way of doing it. So the success that I know you've had, Frank, isn't because you focus on the wrong things, obviously, right? It's because you pour into your time and energy, money, everything else that goes with it, into the right things that are going to, because we've had this conversation recently, right, of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what do you pursue, what don't you pursue. So I don't know, anything that you can share with the folks about that aspect of things?
Yeah, 9 years later, I think I got a little bit of insight.
So it takes time.
It takes time, and every individual is going to excel and maybe not excel in another area. And as far as those conversations, I was definitely not good at those conversations before. I think it's just from experience, and definitely not feeling like I'm in a position where I have to get that deal.
Yeah.
And it's very important to your business that you're not in that scarcity mentality where you're starving for a deal, because it shows. And some of our students in getting into this don't quit your job so you can do this full time, because you'll be more desperate than anybody. You'll come across that way. It's good to have something that is paying your bills, so you can have the room and the space to be able to operate in your real estate business without feeling like you have to get this deal, or this is a make or break deal. If I don't get this deal, I'm quitting. That doesn't work. So the lead generating, if you go back to that, I mean, the free resources are always best. They're always best. You start with the freest, most inexpensive lead sources, make some money there, and then expand. Start reinvesting what you made into other areas that might cost money. And I think door knocking isn't efficient, but it's educational, and you have a result. You go to that door, it's vacant, they don't want to sell, or they're not ready to sell yet, or maybe there's a conversation or a meeting that takes place, and then you follow up with that individual if it's something that you can follow up with. So although it's not efficient, it doesn't cost you money, and you're not sending out blind mailers where you don't know what's happening with them. You can actually go there, identify, and then maybe do a mailing campaign to them. But yeah, I mean, students, when they talk to me about trying to get leads, they talk about these big ideas for marketing that are expensive, and they haven't even got a deal yet. So the ROI is not going to make sense. They can't fund the deal by themselves. They can't do the deal by themselves. So now they're having to get like one or two other partners, either a senior investor or a money partner. So your ROI's gone from, something acceptable to probably negative. So they need to start with the freest lead sources and reinvest into expanding first with a website. They don't even really need business cards to start, and they definitely don't need a corporation, right? It's, the door knocking, the for sale by owners. There's different lists that you can find for free, right? Even probate, you can go to court and get those for free. Just go in there, get that information. Do you have to pay for it online? I never had to pay for it online, but I haven't pulled a list.
Depends on which information you're pulling.
Oh, okay. So whatever free resources or little money that you can spend. Property Radar is very inexpensive. It's also a good resource, but yeah, you don't have to look at what Oscar or Tim or Frank are doing, 9 years into this or about, and start copying what we're doing, because you're not going to have the conversion yet, and then you have to take on other business partners because you're not ready to close the deal by yourself. So yeah, I don't know, is there a graduating thing, like from this lead source, like what's the next step up into the paid resource? I think it's just door knocking.
I think the gradual approach really becomes refining your skill set and getting better at it so that you start having success. That's step one, right? And then you might want to dabble in different things, but it's kind of like the conversation we just had, the 80-20 thing, right? So where 80% of your revenue is coming from, dedicate 80% of your time and dabble in your 20%, right?
Right.
Maybe it's a cost thing, whatever, but focus on what you're good at first. And we're not all going to be good at everything, right? Very few of us are. That's why you have to, you talked about having to partner with people. And I remember having someone in here that wanted to partner with people. He wanted to be a money guy. He's like, yeah, I'll do every deal you guys bring at me, but I want 75% of it. I'm like, dude, why would I do that? Right? Why would I even contemplate that as a sane offer when I know that I can do way better than that? Not because of any other reason, but rather than being associated with you guys in the club and the relationships that we've built through time and the leverage that we've created, right? So why would I even step into a situation like that? Now, for those folks starting out, I hate to say it, but that's probably what you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah,
that's the reality of things, right? Even hard money lenders, they're only going to do 65 to 75%. It's rare for them to do 100%. They'll do it when that individual has done business with them before. There's credibility. It goes back to the relationship. There's rapport already built. Amazing how that comes into everything that we do, right? But it's one of those things that. So I know we got a little bit off of the topic of the house, right? So let's go back to that Garden Grove house. So you guys went through all of this stuff. You got it under contract. You're in escrow, I'm presuming, right now? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the expectation is that he's going to get some cash up front? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the balance of his monies will be due upon the resale of the property?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's essentially a partnership with him?
It is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're joint venturing with him?
It's a
Is this the SAM?
seller finance note.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shared appreciation mortgage. So it technically is not a joint venture because he's a lender on it. It's just his return is going to be based off of my net profit. So we have a face value of that seller finance note, which is essentially what I would have paid for the property in its condition, and after I repaired it and sold it, keeping it 2-1, it would make sense at that purchase price. And then since I'm spending this money to add the bed and bath, I'm not putting that on the note as far as, what that value would be. I'm just putting it into the payback. So whatever the net profit is minus the first mortgage, his $248,000, which is on his share depreciation mortgage, and my costs, all costs, the repairs, remodel, everything, he's going to get back 25% of the net proceeds, which would put him between $330 and $350, and put us about $100,000 in profit.
Very cool. Very cool. So, and that's creative stuff, right? It's not something that you can just because you heard him talk about it doesn't mean that you're qualified to go do it now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's taken time
it's
to.
It's a 10-page purchase agreement.
Yeah.
It's 2 different notes, and it's drafted by an attorney.
I was just going to say, and there's attorneys involved. This isn't something that you can just, this goes back to my earlier point, right? They hear us say something, and then I'm going to go do that now. And no, there's a lot of moving parts into how we structure things and how we make it all work. So, word to the beginner out there, right, is sometimes, I heard this a long time ago, right? Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And we have to be okay with having to slow down so that we can move a little bit faster, right? And all that really means is this. Because you hear an idea, you can't run out and do it. You have to learn what that idea, how it came to fruition, right? How it was formulated, who was involved, what parties drafted what, who contributed to what, and then you get the full, we'll call it roadmap, if you will. And now you can walk with that and get to that next step, right? At some point. You just said 9 years, right? It's taken time. We're all right about the same 8 to 9 year mark. And it's a learning process, but that's why we do what we do and educate people, because we want you to get it right. We don't want you to lose. We don't want you to sacrifice things that your family needs, all this stuff that happens, right? We want you to step out there. And we say, talk about stepping out in faith, right? But yeah, you can step out in faith, but it's all calculated risk.
Yeah.
Right? It's not blind faith, I guess is the best way to say it. It's you have a plan, you have a strategy, and you're going to pursue things the right way. So
Yeah.
I mean, we could teach the ins and outs of a shared appreciation mortgage, right? I mean, we can teach how that works, but it would take 2 or 3 days to just teach you all the details of what goes into it.
And they would forget all of them,
And
they
you
wouldn't be able to do it by
and
themselves.
and you would forget it, and you wouldn't be able to do it by yourself. And let's just say you did remember. Now you have to go find a homeowner that makes sense for, which is maybe 1 out of a few hundred.
Oh, so not everybody.
Right.
I
So
talked to-
the key is the homeowner. Let's find the homeowner first, and then decide what the strategy is.
So it's homeowner pain point solutions.
Right. And we'll deal with the
In that order.
solutions later.
In that order, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a solution for the problem in your tool belt, then partner with somebody like this who does have a solution in their tool belt, and we'll get it done. But if you don't have a homeowner, then no strategy is going to get you a deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Did I see a?
yeah,
Got a couple
some questions. Cool.
So Anita says, what reasons have you found that abandoned or empty house owners are reluctant to sell? For example, emotion ties. What's the reason you hear most?
Personally, it's usually because they think that they have nothing to do with the property anymore.
Right.
They were under the impression that they handed it back to the bank and did a deed in lieu, something that then.
Mom disinherited in me.
Right. Yeah, my mom didn't love me anymore, so I know I don't get that house. And most often what happens is that you'll ask them, okay, cool, so you turned it back into the bank. Can I see the documents that you signed doing that? And they immediately give you that deer in headlights look, like, documents, what are you talking about? I left the keys on the counter and it's theirs, right? It's not a car, guys. You don't just drive up to the bank and drop off the keys and you walk away, right?
Right.
It doesn't work that way. There's a whole process that goes behind it. So that's my experience is when you find a vacant house and people aren't willing to participate, it's because they're misinformed, uneducated, and don't realize the liability that they have still. You guys, anything different?
I've had homeowners that just don't want to sell. They just
I've
don't want
had
to
that
sell.
more.
They don't need the money.
For their kids.
It's for their kids later.
They're going to fix it later.
Right.
You haven't got around to
They
it.
just don't want to sell. And I don't know their reason for that. Like they each have their own different reason for not wanting to sell, but
It's the same reason why we want to buy it.
Right.
That's why they want to keep it. They want to make money later.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Right.
Cool. What other question you have?
Barbara says, it's more of a personal, we have a property next door to my mother-in-law's house abandoned for at least 6 years, framed only, and according to police, many building violations. Do you know what we can do? Owners won't contact us.
Yeah, absolutely know what we can do. There's different things that we can approach it, and I think skip tracing is in order. You're saying that the homeowners aren't responding to you. I believe that has everything to do with how you're reaching out to them,
Right.
and how you're approaching the situation. I don't know. What do you guys?
You might not ever reach them. I don't know what they're doing. We guess we could look at what steps they've taken so far, if they have a good phone number for them, and then move on from there. See.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's things that we can definitely do, but that's a short question with a whole lot of different variables behind it.
Right.
That you probably your best bet, Barbara, is probably to direct message one of us and let us know. So we're going to ask for more details, essentially, to help you walk through through what needs to be done.
Right.
What other question do you have there?
Last one, Jose says, does an equity split or creative acquisition always help a seller with a bit more money in their pocket rather than a cash offer or short sale?
I wouldn't say always.
I was going to say always is a loaded word.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say always.
Could be more.
So the short
time.
answer is no. That it's not. It doesn't always help them out with more money. However, if the homeowner is in a position where we need to get them more money, then it's absolutely a viable strategy to. It's something to look at as a possibility.
Yeah, and it depends on the seller's motivation to sell what they need.
Right.
So could get them more motorhome.
Right.
Right. What do they need? Right? So that question really brings us back to pain point solution.
What it tells me is the student has the wrong mindset, because they're thinking, what's the formula I need to do to get this deal? Do I need to offer more money? Do I need?
Right.
And it's no. You have to establish rapport and trust with them, and the quicker you introduce the senior investor into that, so that they can begin that process, the better.
Yeah.
Right.
And just know, right? So Black Pearl is one where I think it took about a week and a half to.
Sorry, I was thinking. We're
I was
flipping
thinking
this
that same thing too.
I was thinking,
Every time I say
we're
that, these
flipping
guys
his
think
house.
pirates.
Well, duh.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like,
Black
who
Pearl.
owns the Black Pearl now? Right? Remember they're
All right.
fighting over that shit?
Anyways,
The whole movie?
so that getting that under contract, I think it was less than 2 weeks,
Right.
and it was over the phone, a lot of it, and then meetings, two I think meetings,
Right.
that really solidified everything. So every scenario is so different, and there's so many different variables that you can come across. That, to Frank's point, right, the sooner you get one of us involved, the better. And I think one of the things that you said before, Tim, that I recall is we'd rather you bring us in early than bringing us in late.
Right, because we can tell you, it's easier to say too soon rather than too late.
Right. Because when it's too soon, we can say it's too soon.
Yeah.
However, do this, do this, do
It's on
this.
my radar now.
Right. And yeah, now we got a feel of what the situation is, and we can coach you better through it.
Yeah. Right.
Versus come in and try to salvage something when you've said too much and it's way too late in the conversation already.
Right.
So.
Yeah, if there's any question, for club members anyways, if there's any question about do I need to bring Oscar or Frank or myself in to help talk to this homeowner, the answer is yes, do it. And we may kick it back to you and say, just go ask them this or that or the other thing. But if there's any question about do I bring them in, just bring us in. And you'll get some coaching. If, at the very minimum, you'll get some coaching.
Right.
What about when they submit a lead and the seller is still trying to save their house? Like they're not even in a place of I might sell it at all. That's not been spoken of one time.
So that brings me back to what you said earlier, right? Is that that tells you that they're approaching this under different pretenses, really, right?
Right.
They're saying, I'm here to help you, but I'm here to make $1 off you.
Yeah.
And all I'm focused on is the strategy that I can implement so that I can make that $1 off of your house.
Oscar can convince them to sell.
I don't convince anybody.
Right. That's what I think. That's what
Yeah.
people are thinking
Right.
when they submit it. When the homeowner still wants to keep.
Why do they
keep
want to
their
keep
house.
the house? Here, talk to them.
Talk
Right.
to them. You'll get them to sell it. No, we won't.
No.
Yeah.
We'll identify what they
I'll-
really want.
I'll tell them, well, wait for the decision from the bank and see if you can keep it.
Right.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fairly standard answer. So, any other questions out there?
No.
So, one of the other things that I guess this is probably a good segue, if you will, to things that we're doing around here, and the idea here is that we've had conversations for the last few months about what do we need to do to be able to help people achieve what they set out to achieve in this business, right? So our club members and our students, very clear, right? We coach them through things and we help them, but there's a lot of people out there, and some of you are out there right now, either going to be watching this live or will be tuning in later, that are struggling in this industry because you've been through education, you've bought into different programs, right? You have the super duper quadruple platinum club member for some other
Inner circle.
place. The inner circle.
Inner circle.
Not the outer inner circle.
Platinum member. Is that
Yeah.
what you called it?
So for those folks out there that are struggling with that, right? We get that the information is, generally speaking, is pretty good out there. You can Google a lot of information, but the reality is that what you cannot do is research how to actually do this, right? You can research the information like you just said right now, Frank. It's all pretty much the same, right? There's no magic sauce, if you will. The magic happens when you associate yourself with people that are actually doing this, that are willing to help you through the process to get to that next step, right?
Yeah.
And so what we decided to do is that, now I want to be crystal clear here, right? It's not for our club members. It's not for our students to participate in, but rather for those folks that are out there that are looking for an opportunity to maybe just have a conversation with us in a group setting. Then we've set up some meetups that I think are working out pretty well, in the sense that we're somewhat of rescuers anyways by nature, right? So I believe we're rescuing some people that are out there floundering, thinking that they have all the answers when they don't. And the reality is they're still looking. They're still looking for something, right, Frank?
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah. They're gathering information, and they keep on gathering information because they don't have enough information. That's their mindset. But I think we were just talking about it at our last meetup. It's like, okay, you have too much information, right? You have enough information to take action with me, with one of the senior investors, because that's what you need. You're not going to take action on a deal. You don't have money lined up. You don't have contracts. You don't have any of this stuff. You wouldn't know which one to use. You don't even know which escrow or title company you're going to use yet. I mean, you have all these bubbles in the air that you think when you get the seller that it's going to just fall like dominoes, and it's not. And you're probably not even going to get under contract. So it just helps to have somebody to come alongside you. That's why it worked for me. But I do know this. If you gathered all that information, you start taking action, I think years down the road, you could become successful, but it will never be by yourself. What will happen is you'll stumble through it, and you'll run into some of those people in that if somebody decides to go, hey, what are you doing? And that'll take years. You can definitely fast track that by connecting with somebody who does this for a living.
Yeah, and for you out there that are thinking, right, well, I've tried that before. Here's what I believe most people experience out there is they do what you said, right? They identify somebody who they believe can help them through the process. Mm-hmm. The problem, generally speaking, is that individual that they identify is looking for one thing and one thing only, and that's to leverage your butt off, right? They're going to leverage you to no end, and usually what happens is you get a referral fee. You don't, and you don't learn the ins and outs of that transaction either.
Yep.
Which
a lot of calls like that. Someone called me. It's exactly what happened to them. Yep. They said they were going to get this amount, ended up either not giving them anything and stopped returning their calls and did the deal without them, or they gave them a pittance of what they said they would. So
yeah, and here's just reminds me of something. So on occasion, we'll have situations where the lead just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. It makes zero sense, right? Like the homeowner wants $10,000, right? And they're $325,000 in the hole on a $250,000 house. They're motivated. Yeah, I would be motivated too if I was that seller. If you're going to give me $10,000 to take on $350,000 worth of debt, right? It's not going to happen. Those numbers don't make sense. So generally speaking, we'll have the conversation with the homeowner to figure it out. Again, right, to your point, get the rapport in, figure out really what's going on. And a lot of times those deals just don't make sense. And then you think that they think that we took it and we did something with it. And the reality is, yeah, we did something with it. We ripped up or crumbled up the profile and we tossed it away
Or
because
flushed
it made no sense. Yeah, we flushed it. And a lot of times they eventually get listed and then they think it's listed by, there's a lot of different things that happen right now. And I'm saying that for this reason. There are people out there that do that. Right? That, for me, ruins our business.
Yeah.
Right? If we were to ever step into that gray area, if you will, it would absolutely blow up our business and not in a good way. So that's not the game that we play. So we're here, I think we're clear now that our goal is to not only help our students and our club members create more opportunities and do more real estate, but we're actually kind of extending a hand out there for people that don't know us, that haven't been around us long enough, don't realize what we're really doing, the ability to learn some things, right? Obviously, we can't teach them everything like we do our students, but to learn and help you through that process to start taking some action, right? Like the lady that we spoke with this weekend, that you've been educated, great, cool. Let's make that education work for you now. And let's get you to that next level and that next step. And if at some point it makes sense to have a conversation with us about the club, all right, cool, maybe, right? Don't know what that looks like. But so we put together, I don't know, Frank, you set up the meetups, so anything else you want to share about the meetups?
They are completely free for you to come and sit here and get some feedback from us. Maybe a Q&A. The next one's April 28th, which is a Saturday. It will be at 3 p.m., right? 3 to 6?
We schedule 3 to 6. What we found is that
We
never know.
yeah, we have a tendency to talk a lot, apparently. Like right now, we're already way over our time of 30 minutes. But we get into topics, right, that we can't cut short because then it's a cliffhanger. And
Well, we love
I
this
personally
business,
hate
right?
cliffhangers. And we can talk about it all day long, right? So 3 to 6 is what we schedule. We'd like people to be on time. That'd be great because then we can start on time.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do our best to contain ourselves, if you will, and keep it to about a 90-minute session.
Yep.
But we schedule it for 3 hours just in case.
Yeah,
Just in case it tends to
at
happen.
90 minutes, I walk out. So you.
I noticed that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I noticed
I was
that
like,
last
man,
time.
that's
I
what
have
it
a
was.
tight schedule.
He's like, yeah, but you sat in the tables.
So they can send us a direct message to the New Wealth Advisors Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, send us a direct message to the New Wealth Advisors Club fan page, and we'll send you the information. Again, this is for non-club members. This would just be repeat info that you already have, and we'll shoot you over the link to the meetup, and you can get registered through there, and you'll get the whole calendar for the rest of the year.
Cool. All right, so the free meetups. Now, for those of you that are looking to get started in this business because you see the value in what we bring to the table and you're interested more in joining the club, different conversation. There is a link on our fan page. It's, Christian, is it Join NWAC? So joinnwac.com is another option as well for those of you that are more interested on the club aspect of things. But I like the idea of the meetups as well because it's a great opportunity for us to get to know some people and help you get out of the whatever you're stuck in.
We've met some really cool people.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times they're stuck with what you said, right? I need more information, and you really don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because the feedback that I've gotten from every one of them is going to other meetups. Like this one provided the most value, the most on point guidance. Like this is your next step. Okay, this is your next step. This is what you got to do, right?
Right.
Versus just them mingling and talking with each other and exchanging.
I thought it was crazy. They said that at a meetup, everybody in attendance gets 30 seconds on the mic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some of these meetups have like 100 people.
30 seconds.
Go and done. I mean, I get your elevator pitch, but anyways, it's kind of crazy. We're all about providing and giving value. So with that said, thanks guys, appreciate the time. Next week, John should be back unless he's snowed in with the family in England. We'll see how that pans out. Hopefully the snow goes away. I don't know.
Melts?
Kind of, whatever. I guess it's either snowing or it's raining.
That's what snow does.
All right, kill the feed before we're going down.
But yeah, good talking with everybody. Appreciate you guys and your time. And we'll be back in next Tuesday at 12:12. Hopefully, if Christian and Kevin can get it right.
Yep.
Cool.
Come on, Christian.
All right, guys, thanks.
Kevin, get it together.
get to work.